Now, in America at the moment, we've got Donald Trump about to sort of blow his trumpet, and we've got all the kind of leaders of the technology fields over there, which are the strongest in the world, rapidly lining up behind him, whether it's Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg or whoever, and all the things we fought hard to help us control the use of platforms and technology. Suddenly, the controls are being taken off, and you can say what you like. You can incite people to hatred. You can say what you like. Free speech is what they call it, but it's hateful speech, it's hurtful speech, and it's dangerous speech. So I worry about all those things. I really do.
Well, in my opinion, free speech should be allowed as long as it does not harm anyone. Right. Then it's free speech. And yeah, I'm just not sure where the world is going to go with these changes. But I was wondering, there was this one point which I wanted to get across. What did you mean by safety online? Do you mean it should not be allowed to insult anyone based on their race, on their identity, or their sexuality? No, well, or does that mean that we will be keeping people safe from their data being used by Instagram, by Facebook, by TikTok?
It's in all those fields, but
so both.
First of all, we do have laws, and anything that that social media or technology is used for that contravenes our laws will be unlawful. We're looking at, and it's a subjective thing, what might harm people but still be within the laws. You have to make a judgment about that. But we're very, very clear that our Equality Act in the United Kingdom, which actually defines what constitutes hateful speech or harmful intentions or dangerous sort of ways of speaking, it's all defined in that law, the Equality Act of 2010. And so we will judge what happens against the requirements of that law. So once again, if it's against the law, then it's against the law, if it's online or if it's not online. But it's not to do with free speech, really. I mean, freedoms are freedoms, but they come with limitations.
Yeah.
We can't use our freedom to hurt and harm people, whether in speech or in action. And so it's that balance that has to be sought, and it is difficult.
I'm really curious, I think, and most of the people in the world, in America especially now, are curious, how do you even define hate speech? Is that not something, because most of the people think that it's something very vague that basically comes down to whether you can't really know whether you have just produced hate speech.
Well, there will be instances where it's very gray, and therefore you can't decide. It's as difficult as you just said. But when Elon Musk, for example, praises a man called Robinson,
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, it's ridiculous. So it's a question of judging when that line has been crossed. And there are frameworks of criteria that are in place to help us to make those judgments. And what's more, once our Act of Parliament is being implemented, there will be cases in the courts, and the judges in the courts will have to decide whether it is harmful or not. And those judgments in our common law will build up a body of experience about how to handle these things in the future. So that's how it'll work. But it does take a long time, and the technology will simply be different by the time we start to put these things into practice. It's not easy.
Yeah, so it's up to judges to decide whether it's hate speech or not.
Well, it will. When somebody alleges that people have been incited to hatred, like, for example, the stuff that happened in Middlesbrough in the summer, when those hotels with migrants in them were attacked by really bad people. Someone will then bring a case to take them to court because they smashed windows, they turned police cars over and burned them and so on. They shouted slogans, all that kind of stuff. And somebody will take them to court, And in court, the judgment will have to be made. Did they cross the line? Was there hatred that they perpetrated? Or are we exaggerating? And as the judgments are made, so that will set a precedent for the next time it happens, because that's how our law, which I think is quite different from your law, works. And so it'll take 4 or 5 years for those laws to begin to accumulate a body of opinion that allows us quite easily to detect which is harmful and which isn't harmful.
So is this another solution to the length of this process, that we are going to have a few cases which we are going to base our future decisions on?
Yeah.
Is it going to speed up the process of passing?
Well, time will tell. I mean, I think that some things will be very easy to decide because they are against the law and so on, and there's not going to be much problem. But in terms of that delicate business of deciding when the line has been crossed, that's what I'm talking. Those cases that are somewhere in the middle, and you got your opinion, I got my opinion, and we have to decide what's happening. When they get taken to court, the judge will consider all the evidence, go through it all, there'll be cross-questioning of people, and out of that process will come a judgment that you're right or that I'm right. And once that judgment is on the statute book, then it becomes the lead, because subsequent cases will refer to that. That's what they did in that case. Now let's do it in this case. So it evolves. That's our legal system.
Yeah. With Donald Trump coming to power, I know personally that you're very critical of him.
I am.
And you have just laid out to me that you're very concerned about what will happen potentially to media safety, or to means like Instagram, Facebook, whether it will be used to spread hatred even further. But what are the other things that you're concerned about with Donald Trump? What do you think is the main reason? Was the main reason not to choose him?
Well, first of all, he is a felon who has been convicted and sentenced for a crime. In this country, we have just had to have one of our politicians resign her office because she has an auntie who in Bangladesh was a powerful person, and it's alleged that there's a conflict of interest. Our politician, because she's closely related to a politician in Bangladesh, that's a conflict of interest, so she's had to resign. Now, in America, you have Donald Trump, who's not only connected to someone who's committed a crime, but has committed a crime himself. There's no question of him resigning at all. And there are other cases that they've dropped, which could have showed that he's even more of a criminal than we've seen thus far. So first of all, he's misogynistic, he's hateful, he despises immigrants. And I've lived in Haiti for 10 years. I love Haiti and Haitians and Haitian culture. And he's threatening to deport all of them.
And the comments he has made about Haiti.
In his campaign, yes. I mean,
in the debate.
In the debate, he said that in Springfield, Ohio, Haitians are eating the cats and dogs, the pets of their neighbors. Now, in Springfield, Ohio, it's been denied by every authority again and again and again, but he still goes on saying it in order to increase the sense of, you talked about how you recognize when people hate each other. Well, that's hatred in my book, all right? So that's the second thing. The third thing is I look at Haiti, which is a country in chaos. How can you have a country in such chaos, 90 minutes flying time from the United States of America? How? Well, because America's messed it up. America has taken all the profits out of it. America has, for well over 100 years, sort of done the worst it can to take all the profits out of Haiti, leaving it floundering. And Haiti now is in a total mess. And what's going to happen? Donald Trump is going to send tens of thousands of Haitians back to Haiti. There's already 11 million people there. Haiti is the same size as the country I was born in, Wales. Wales has 2.5 million people. Haiti has 11 million people. How are they going to take hundreds of thousands more? And they're also getting from the Dominican Republic another 300,000 people deported. I mean, you're going to have people starve to death. You're going to have the whole thing in a mess. You're going to have violence and gang warfare and all the rest of it. And it could be stopped by Donald Trump, and it should be stopped by the American government. So, of course, I'm angry. You've now touched a nerve, young Volodymyr, you have. Because it doesn't seem fair to me that someone as strong as the American leadership could use its power against a country that is so weak as poor old Haiti is.
Of course, in terms of deporting, many experts and just people say that there is going to be not only, it doesn't only come to the unethical question. It only involves a big cost that the US is going to pay for deporting all of the people Trump wants to deport. And even if he's going to not deport all of them, it's still going to cost him a lot. But something that people suggest that is going to cost US even more is his policy with tariffs.
With
tariffs.
Terrorism, yes. Well,
Tariffs.
Yes, well, we'll wait and see on that. Already it seems as if he's been able to make certain noises in the discussion about the conflict between Israel and Gaza.
No, I meant economic policies on tariffs.
Oh, economic. Oh, you mean, tariffs.
Tariffs.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Yes. Oh, no. Well, I mean, that's what's going to happen. He's going to take an isolationist stance. He's going to isolate America from the world economy, and make it hugely expensive for people who want to export goods to the United States of America. And he's talked about huge tariffs for Canada, for example. Poor Canada. They're right next door.
Yeah.
And from China, especially China. And what will happen is that that'll add to the cost of the products for ordinary people as well.
Yeah. And of course he has talked about plenty of issues. But yeah, I wonder, what do you think if the information about Trump is so open and everybody pretty much knows what he is, why do you think he has been chosen as the president?
Well, now that is the $64,000 question to ask, because I do not know. Take, for example, I am a Christian.
Yeah, there are multiple reasons, but
I am a Christian, and in the church that I belong to in the United States of America has split between those who believe that you should accept gay and lesbian people and those who should. Now, on that issue, sexual identity, the church has split.
Methodist, just to be
clear. The Methodist Church. But you've got a president who's not only kind of offended against that, he lies, he has sexual misdemeanors, he hates women, all of those things. And yet the same people who divided in the church vote for him. I can't understand it. I cannot understand it. And I've got into trouble for telling the Americans or the American Methodists what I feel about that, or at least I haven't told them what I feel about it. I've asked them to explain to me, to help me to understand what I don't know.
People who vote for Trump.
People who vote for Trump, yes.
What did they say then?
Well, they've given me no answer at all. I think that there is a crisis going on, however, in democracies generally. As the experience of democracy has developed over the decades, say since the Second World War particularly, the breakdown of communism and all the rest of it, I do believe that the political class has become more and more distant from the people that they govern. And the people that they govern feel that difference terribly. And so if you get someone with a big mouth and who can speak pub language, speaks to ordinary Americans, they feel, he's one of us. See, instead of rather posh phrases and highfalutin jargon from people who went to university and who can't understand working people. And I think there's that happening in Britain as well, by the way. And we've got this reform movement sort of creeping up. even the Labour Party that I belong to. You know, when I got interested in politics, my member of parliament, with whom I used to talk as a teenager, my member of parliament had begun his life working down a coal mine. And he'd worked himself up and taught himself at school. He never went to university. But when he went into government post-war, 1945, as a member of parliament for my town, and he was offered the Foreign Office to represent Britain abroad, he said, no, I want to do work and pensions. I want in government to do something for my people, the people I've come from. Well, now that kind of thing doesn't happen nearly as much. The people on the ground who are expected to vote, remember it's only 30-something% voted in our last election, 35% voted for the Labour Party. Remember that they have to vote for someone to represent them, and they don't have people who've lived their lives under their conditions and understand the questions that are their questions. Once that gap opens up, representative government is no longer representative government. It's notionally that, but the people don't feel represented by posh people who have privileges and drive around in big cars, and that's where the trouble comes from. It's happening in America, it's happening here, it's happening across Europe.
I think it's a very important issue that you brought up in terms of how the governments are losing touch with normal people, with ordinary people. And ordinary people are always the majority in the country, in any country.
Of course they are.
And it's important to always stay in touch. But besides that, I think, at least as far as I remember, the Democratic Party has always been the party for the people, for the middle class. But it seemed to me, and it has been proven by statistics in the last election, a lot of people, even though they still hold a majority on Hispanics, on young people, on black voters, it was proven that a lot of those voters still shifted to Donald Trump. Did that happen because of because they were tricked by his rhetoric, or because of the opposition party was?
Well, I think that let's step back from that just a little bit, because I think that we have over the decades evolved what I call, we used to have working class, middle class, and upper class as our class system. Now we've got unclassified people. They're below working class because they don't work. We've got 10 million people in Britain who don't work, who just draw benefits.
And still get benefits.
And then you've got your working people. And then you've got another class above it. It used to be the aristocracy, but now it's the political class. And I think the political class has lost its rootage in the ordinary affairs of the country that they represent. And that is a danger. Now, of course, there are exceptions to all of this, so I have to just throw that in. There are some exceptions. But on the whole, when politicians speak or go off to international conferences, or the press report them sort of doing this or saying that or the other, people say, well, so what? So what? I mean, touching people's lives. Let me just give you an analogy from my profession. I'm a Methodist minister. I'm a preacher. When I started, the whole job was pastoral. Namely, a number of people used to come to my church, and what would I do? I'd go and visit them in their homes. I'd go to the schools where their children were educated. When they had problems, they came to me, and I helped them to solve it. In other words, I was in the community, part of the community, trusted by the community. What's happening now? It's become unfashionable on the whole for people who are Methodist ministers to visit people in their homes, to conduct a pastoral relationship. So they stand in the pulpit giving Bible studies from the pulpit, and the people sitting below them.
And it just seems ingenuine.
Well, it just seems, who are they? I mean, we don't know them like we used to know them. And the congregations have therefore diminished in size, people have lost their trust in the church, and so on and so forth. And it's easy to happen.